Hello, time for another out of this world story from our Aichi stories. First story. Mess sister wants me to patch up with my ex tried to sabotage my relationship. I reported her for cyber crime. My 21 female used to date my ex 30. Male in school, he was my brother's 30. Male best friend. We dated for over 3 years. On my graduation day from high school, he proposed to me. I was not ready to get married, so I rejected his proposal. He was apparently heartbroken. Well, I'm not belittling his feelings, but the thing is, I had told him about my dreams of pursuing a career before getting married, even after knowing my goals in life. If he proposes to me, I could do nothing except turn it down. Instead of understanding me, he gaslighted the situation and said I was aole for exploiting his feelings for 3 years and then rejecting his proposal. I loved him. I was not playing with his feelings, but I had my plans in life. I was barely 18 then. I don't know how he expected me to drop my career and settle down with him. I tried to reason out my concerns, but eventually I realized it's better to move on from him, so I broke up with him. He went around and told my family about it. My brother asked me the reason, and I told him it was my career. He understood my point and told my ex to be supportive of me if he wanted me in his life. My sister, 26 female, was upset with me. She was dating my ex's brother. They were planning their wedding in a year or two. She wanted me to continue with my ex and eventually marry him so that we could be connected together as one happy family. That idea used to excite me earlier, but seeing the true colors of my ex after the breakup, I was out of that plan. It was not an easy decision for me, knowing that I would bump upon him more often than not. My ex has always been close to my family since he was my brother's best friend. Ex's brother also had his feelings with my sister, so the 3 boys, my brother, ex, and his brother, would always hang out at our place. Me and my sister used to tag along with them. My parents liked them. We had vacations together. You see how complex the situation is. I understand it was difficult for him too, because he may not be able to hang out at our house anymore, but that jerk was a leech. After a month of going around bad-mouthing me in front of my siblings, he returned and suggested we continue dating and push the marriage to the backseat. I said I didn't want to be with him and we should part ways. He told everyone that I was a witch that played with his feelings. I mean, yes, while turning down his proposal for marriage. I told him that I loved him and we can continue to date, and when I'm settled in my career, we can visit the idea of marriage. But this was before he went around complaining about me. But after seeing the man-child in him, I was done with him. His emotions of feeling betrayed were still unbelievable. Heartbreak could be tricky. The way my sister was behaving was kind of weird. She was mad at me for breaking up with my ex. She said, how could you ruin our perfect plan of being together as a happy family? We both would marry in the same family and be the godmother of each other's children. We could go on a family vacations. Do you imagine the fun it would be? The family dinners and Christmas would be so much fun. I said we could still do all these without my ex. No matter how I tried to reason out to her, she would never understand. Every other day she would come around nagging with another good reason to take my ex back, living in the same house. It was difficult to ignore her when she could not convince me alone. She brought her mom into her team. I tell you, no one could nag you more than your mom. They tried all means to convince me, from listing down his good qualities to alluring me with his dad's wealth. I still said nope. When they couldn't move me through their manipulations, they started making plans that would force me to see my ex around. My sister planned dinners and outings that would be a nightmare for me. My ex started acting creepy, and surprisingly, it was just me who thought this. Rest everyone thought he was madly in love with me and cute for making moves at me. Once they planned a vacation, I wanted to skip it, but my siblings asked me that they would make it comfortable for me. However, on reaching there, I found that they had booked only 3 rooms. My sister and her boyfriend took one. My brother and his girlfriend got another, and I was left to share a room with my ex. I couldn't believe they would go so far as to make me share a room with him. That was it. I stormed out of the hotel and came back home. Since then, I never went for any vacation or dinners with them. I laid out a clear choice in front of my siblings. It's either him or me. My brother backed off after that, but my sister threw tantrums at me, called me rude and egotistic. My ex continued to hang out with my siblings. Such a loser. They often went outside, but no one asked me to be a part of their plan. It was such a relief to be able to get my ex off my back. I stopped going out with them initially. I used to be bored and felt alone because I had no close friends to hang out with. I had been hanging out with them for the last many years, so I decided to move to a different city. I applied for undergrad program and moved out. It was a tough decision, but I was determined to cut off my ex from my life. I wasn't this bitter about my ex during the breakup. It was the aftermath that made me resentful of him. Finally, I was able to cut the crap out of my life. It's been 2 years since then, and I have not gone home. It's fun here. I met a guy last year. He was in his senior year, and now he's working at a private bank. He's from a different university. We met at a college festival, and since then we could not stop seeing each other. We have a lot in common. A few months back, I moved in with him and posted a picture with him on my Instagram. My sister asked me who he was. I said my boyfriend, and we have been living together. She didn't say anything. After that, I told my boyfriend about my ex. He was stunned to know how my sister tried relentlessly to try to hook me up with my ex despite my refusal. Last week, my sister called me and said she was getting married and she wants me to be her maid of honor. Not only that, she wants me to help her with the wedding preparations. I was excited, except for that brief period of bitterness due to my ex. My sister and I shared a good bond. We have so many happy memories with each other. We had made so many plans for each other's wedding. You know how sisters are. Perhaps my concern might be evident now. My sister is getting married to my ex's brother, so the presence of my ex is imminent at the wedding unless there has been a fallout between the brothers. I don't want to bump into my loser ex again. Neither do I want to miss my sister's reaction. Wedding, oh up, you dodged a bullet there. Imagine being married to someone who doesn't understand that I want a career means I want a career, not please derail my life plans with a ring I didn't ask for. It's almost impressive how turned your whole family into his personal fan club. If only manipulation was an Olympic sport, he'd have a gold medal. As for your sister, she seems to be living in a Hallmark movie where everyone ends up marrying their high school sweetheart siblings. It's sweet in theory, but in practice, it's a logistical nightmare. Rooming you with your ex on a vacation. That's not just a boundary issue, it's a whole wall demolition you handled like a pro, though. Moving to a different city, building a new life, and finding a boyfriend who doesn't come with a built-in family drama package. Solid moves. And now the wedding. Ah, yes, the potential minefield of running into your ex who never grew up. If you do decide to attend, think of it as a chance to showcase your fabulous new life, complete with a successful career and a boyfriend who's not a walking red flag. Your sister might want you to help with her wedding, but maybe consider negotiating some ex-free zones like the entire venue. Either way, remember, you've already navigated through the worst of it. The wedding is just the grand finale where you get to show everyone how little their drama affects you now. Update 1. Update 1. Hello all, thanks for all the advice as suggested by you guys. I made it clear to my sister that she should not try to patch me up with my ex anymore, and if I get the slightest hint about it, I'm going to storm out from the wedding. She assured me that nothing of that sort would happen because my ex was also dating someone, and they were pretty serious about it. It was such a relief. Almost 10 days before the wedding, I'm headed home to spend time with my family. My sister is also home during that period. It was fun catching up with him after 2 years. My brother was missing from the picture because he had moved to Canada. He arrived on the wedding day. I was happy to see they had moved on from obsessing about my ex. However, that was short-lived. They had different plans for setting me up with my ex. Coming to that, eventually, it was also much fun helping my family with the wedding preparation until the day before the wedding. So they had booked a lakeside mansion sort of thing for the wedding. It was like 100 miles away from our place. The night before the wedding, there was the bachelorette party at the mansion. Me and my sister and a few of her friends headed to the venue a day before the wedding. I reluctantly asked her who all were coming from her fiance's side. She said his bunch of friends from high school. I had this eerie feeling of my ex showing up and making it uncomfortable for me, but my sister assured me that he had moved on. I thought, and even she said, that the bachelor and bachelorette party would be separate, but after reaching there, she just said, oh, the event manager clubbed I was stupid to think that she hid this because my mom would be mad at her for meeting her husband a day before the wedding. We have a custom sort of to not meet the groom or bride at least a week prior to the wedding. I asked her if mom knew about the joint party. She said, no, don't tell her, she would get mad at me. We got all dressed up and reached the spot. It was a pool party at the rooftop. My sister's fiance arrived with his friends. The party started and we were all enjoying it until I saw my ex creepily staring at me from a distance. I rushed and pulled my sister by her arm. I asked her what my ex was doing there. She said, well, he's my fiance's brother. It should be a surprise if he wasn't here. I was surprised at her changing colors. Had I known he would be here, I would have skipped this party. She winked at me and said, you're still obsessed with him, aren't you? I said, I'm not, but looks like you guys are still hooked up with the idea of patching me up with him. She grinned and asked me to take it lightly. She was like, you both are dating different people in life, so what's the big deal in spending one evening together? You don't need to talk to him. Ignore him as if he doesn't exist, or you might just call it a cheat day. I rolled my eyes and went away. It was moreover a pool party, not a bachelorette party. My sister was glued to her fiancé, and most of her friends were hitting on the groom's friends. My ex was also flirting with one of my sister's friends. It was getting boring for me. I was killing my time chatting with my boyfriend and updating him about what was happening there. He was invited to the wedding, which was on the next day. Had I known it was a combined party and I would be left on my own, I would have called my boyfriend. It was still 10 when I called it a day, grabbed one of the rooms of the mansion and snoozed around 11:30. My sister knocked asking me to give her the room because the rest of the 5 rooms were occupied by their friends and groomsmen. I told her to sleep with me and that her fiancé could adjust with any of the groomsmen. She insisted that they want to spend the night together, so I should adjust with any of her friends. They were really drunk and started making out in front of me, so I grabbed my stuff and moved out. I knocked in a couple of rooms, but it looked like they all had company. I came back to my room and asked my sister to finish her business faster and let her fiancé go and sleep in another room. Her fiancé told me there's a small studio room upstairs that I can grab. I went there and found it was occupied by my ex. He was alone. He was saying something, but I stormed back to my room and yelled at my sister. At this point, I doubted if she was actually drunk or if she was pretending to pull out her plan. She said, it's just a matter of one night. You can adjust with him. I was dumbfounded at her suggestion, and she slammed the door in my face. I wanted to storm off the venue and drive back, but it was too late in the night to drive off from such a remote location. After my failed search for a vacant room, I dozed off on the couch near the entrance. I was shivering with cold when one of the housekeeping women offered me a blanket. I was so pissed off at my sister that I wanted to walk out of her wedding. The next day in the early morning, my sister woke me up and said, what are you doing here in the cold? Why didn't you sleep in the room upstairs? I wanted to strangle her to death. I gave her a cold look. She said, I didn't ask you to have sex with him. People can sleep in the same bed without having sex. I got so mad at this and I yelled, probably you should try this with your husband after your divorce and then let me know how it feels. She got offended that I was wishing for her a divorce on her wedding day. She tried to gaslight the situation that it was my fault, that I was overreacting. My ex's presence at the party, I didn't give in to her pressure and pushed her to the corner until she confessed about deliberately putting me on a spot where I would be forced to share a room with my ex. She yelled, yes, I did that and it was for your own good. He still loves you. Despite all your narcissism, you won't get a better man than him. No one can keep you happy more than him. See, he is still ready to accept you after everything you did to him. To my surprise, I saw him standing at the corner of the hallway and sobbing. What a pathetic loser he is. She was saying something about my boyfriend. I didn't hear it clearly. I was grabbing my stuff to storm off the venue. I said I'd not attend her wedding, and she said, fine by me. You anyways find solace in outsiders. She didn't even try to stop me. I drove off from the place. My parents called me asking what happened between you two, that your sister is asking us not to let you attend her wedding. I said, great if she said so, because I'm not keen on attending it either. They tried to probe me further, but I hung up the call saying they should ask her about it. My brother also called me after reaching the venue. He said he was looking forward to Catching up with me, I narrated to him the entire incident. He said it was my decision and he respects it. Probably my brother told my parents about the incident. They called me again and said they were sorry for what happened the other night, but they still wanted me to attend my sister's wedding. They said they didn't want people to gossip and question my absence at the wedding. They let out a choice that I would attend the wedding only if they asked that jerk to leave. They said they can't do that because he was the groom's brother. My anger had overshadowed my brain. I didn't know if that was good or bad, but I remained stuck to my point that I won't attend until he leaves. Obviously, no one could ask him, but my sister called me and apologized for her behavior. My parents made her do so. By then, my fiancé had also reached the venue. I had forgotten to inform him that I had stormed out, so I made a U-turn and went back. When I reached there, my ex was standing at the entrance. He was trying to say something, but he yelled at him, "Stay away from me," and went inside. My sister hugged me and said sorry, but I was still angry at her. I told her if she tries any further tricks, I'm going to cut her off from my life. She promised she wouldn't. The rest of the day was fun. My ex got badly smashed after seeing me with my boyfriend. I was deliberately acting touchy when cozy with my boyfriend, which made his blood boil. As for my sister's narration, he crashed into one of the rooms and didn't even attend the wedding dinner. Good for him. My parents and my brother were happy to meet my boyfriend, and so was he. I feel sorry for the woman my ex is dating, if at all. He reaction is a joint bachelorette party. That's like mixing oil with water, or in this case, mixing exes with future spouses. Your sister's got some serious talent for creating chaos, and then the pas ain't resistance, the force rooming with your ex. If that's not a recipe for disaster, I don't know what it is. I mean, who needs sleep anyway, right? Your sister's excuse: oh, just one night, no big deal. Sure, because sharing a bed with your ex is as casual as sharing a pizza. Update 2. Hello all. Some people don't understand boundaries, and my sister is one of them. Despite telling her so many times not to intervene in my life, she again pulls another trick to have my ex back in my life, and this time I have cut her off once and for all. The most disgusting part is even after so many insults and outbursts, my ex still joins hands with my sister in her tricks. 2 months back, my boyfriend proposed, and I said yes. I posted my picture with the ring on my Instagram. My sister asked about it, and I told her we were planning a wedding this year. She asked me the details, saying she needs to prepare her speech and her dress, etc. I said we're not doing a fancy wedding, just a simple one at the city hall. She was not happy. Update 2. With a small wedding, but that's a separate, non-related discussion. I told my parents about the plan, and they were happy and supportive about it. 1 week later, my fiancé got a text from an unknown account telling him that I had been cheating on him. Obviously, he didn't run to inform me. He got alerted. He asked the person about the details. Quite natural. The unknown person identified himself to be his well-wisher and shared pictures of me with my ex, which were obviously morphed because I never cheated on my fiancé. The person told him that my fiancé was my rebound, that I didn't love him, and I traveled frequently to my hometown to meet my ex. My fiancé got suspicious because the person told him I was sleeping with my ex. My fiancé knew very well that I could never do that. He said he might have bought it if the person said any other name. He knew I was so resentful of my ex that I could never go back to him. My fiancé showed me the chats, and I was raging with anger. I gave him my phone at that very moment to check. He didn't check it, saying he trusted me. I told him I was going to report this person. I drove him to the station and registered a case against an unknown person under cybercrime for morphing my pictures and sharing them online. My husband asked me if I was sure to report this because the person might very well turn out to be my sister. I said I didn't mind seeing her behind the bars. 10 days later, I got a call from the cops asking me to visit the station. I went there to find that the investigation was over and the IP address used to morph and send those pictures were of my sister's. I went full nuclear on her. The cops informed her about the case registered in her name and asked her to appear before the cops. Before they hunt her down, she called me on my fiancé, but we didn't respond. My parents also called us, but we declined their calls too. Finally, she arrived with her husband and started sobbing. Upon seeing me, she immediately confessed that she had done everything to secure my future. I said, explain to the cops how Morphing my explicit pictures is going. To secure my future, I lashed out at her. My parents arrived by then and tried to mediate. I said I was done with her and now she has to face the consequences of her actions. She was fined with a hefty amount and a stern warning to stay away from me after coming out of the station. Her husband tries to mess up with my fiance. I told him to better watch his words and to look out for his brother's behavior if they don't want him to be reported as a molester. I was on fire. That night I had tolerated her BS enough. And that was it. The good news is we got married last weekend. It was a small wedding with just our parents. My brother could not make it because it was short notice. It has been peaceful since my last outburst. I'm going to remain firm in my decision to cut off my sister for my life because she was more harm than good. I treasure my relationship with my husband and cannot let anyone sabotage. Reaction. Your sister must have taken sibling rivalry to a whole new level. Most sisters just borrow clothes without asking, but yours, oh no, she goes straight for the cyber warfare, morphing explicit pictures. That's just not crossing boundaries. That's pole vating over them with a jetpack and all in the name of securing your future. Well, I hope she had a backup plan because this one clearly didn't pan out, but let's give credit where credit is due. Your sister's dedication to her craft is unmatched. I mean, most people would draw the line at fabricating evidence, but not her. She has full CSI cyber on you. But hey, congratulations on your wedding. Here's to a lifetime of marital bliss free from meddling siblings and their Photoshop shenanigans, as they say, till death to us part, or until your sister learns her lesson, whichever comes first. What would you have outro done? Thank you for joining us today in the Aichi Stories. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon, and don't forget to put your chair back where you found it.